Hi there, I'm Anne-Marie Powell and welcome to my real garden. It's almost spring, the days are getting longer and I'm thinking about my vegetable garden. I want to produce lots and lots of food for my family this year. Now it is last chance saloon for some things like this garlic, and this is Christo. And if you plant now, it's still got the opportunity of having a bit of cold in the air, which makes all of these individual cloves, as you plant them, split. So a little clove like this will produce a bulb like that ready for the kitchen table. If you miss that window, don't worry, still get them into the ground. But what you will end up with is one very big clove, which is fine. It isn't that bad. But I want to get these into the ground as soon as possible. So I'll plant these at about 10 centimetres apart and about, well, the books say about 40 centimetres between the rows, but I confess I do plant them a little bit closer. And you just plant them so that the top of the clove is just peeking up out of the ground into well-drained soil that's had a little bit of compost or manure added to it, just to create a little bit of richness to it. The next thing that I've got my skates on and got going are my spuds. And I'm very excited this year about this variety. And this is Swift. It's a salad potato. And it can go from the moment you planted it, just 8 weeks later, to the pot for your kitchen table for salads. And potato salad is one of my favourite things. Get them chitted now. You could put them in old egg boxes, or as I've done here, just put them into any box or tray, and I've just put some newspaper scrumpled up just to make sure that the little sprouts that are appearing as from my chitting and that are just kind of separated from their neighbour, because the last thing we want them to do is to rot. Seed. Now it's quite early to be sowing lots of seed, but I've got my box of tricks at the ready, and favourites that I'm really excited about this year. A squash, and this one is Hawk, which is a really good, strong growing variety, produces a good sweet yield. And that, always check the back of your seed packets, can be sown indoors from March. So I'm quite tempted just to get a couple on the go. I've also got courgette. Who can be without the yellow courgettes? And this one is a Tina Polka. Got a couple of packets of those. And then I've got my French beans, Cos Violette, and a host of all sorts of other seeds that I'm just going to sort and make sure that I'm not missing a sowing slot. I've got my little tray ready because I think I am tempted to just sow 2 or 3 of my butternut squashes just to get them on the go. So, and I'll just sow them into these little modules filled with some of my favourite peat-free compost. In the seed goes, and they're labelled with the date, but not outside yet. However, these will take a lot of looking after. And if you feel that that's not your bag, then you can always order plugs, and there are tons of vegetables that you can grow in plugs at this time of year. Some things can go out, and I do have some winter cabbage here that I think I'll put out straight away, but other things I'm going to grow on, and I'll grow them on either in these larger trays as we've got here, or into P9 pots, again just using my peat-free compost. And yeah, I'll just take out one from its packaging, and this is literally how they arrive. And just literally just fill up a pot, and then I'll just try and get a little plug out to show you. There we go. Open up the side, and you can see it's a tiny weeny little plant. And if you plant it into a pot, then it will just have that opportunity to grow inside under cover by a window or in a greenhouse if you've got one, until the frost goes and you can start hardening them off, just acclimatising them outside during the day, inside at night, until we're frost free and these are ready to explode into life. A good trick actually is when they arrive in different ways. And these are some of my vegetables. This is my lovely rainbow chard. They arrive in little packets like this. Do fold down the sides of the packets, and you can just prop them up side by side in a little tray and sprinkle some compost on them if you're not going to be able to get to them for a fair few days in between the cracks, and keep them very well watered until you're ready for them. Now, they're not going to last weeks like this. You need to get onto them as soon as possible, but it will buy you a little bit more time. And plugs, of course, are not just available for vegetables. You can get plugs of all sorts of herbs. And here we've got some herbs here. So this one is thyme. Again, just make sure that you keep these well watered until you're ready to plant them. And the very same technique, put them into P9s or again into these trays. And these are quite large modules, as you can see, so they stay in there for a little while. And finally, you've got your herbs, but you can also get plugs of wildflower plants. And these are wonderful to attract pollinators planted close up to your vegetable garden, so you'll get lots more fruit and veg. Now, talking about fruit, I've decided to make sure that I've got more edibles right by my back door. So I'm going to show you what I've done. Come with me. I can't tell you how excited I am to finally have some soft fruit potted up on my deck. It means that I can nip out here all summer and just scoff whatever is in fruit. First of all, I've got a new blackcurrant, and this is Ben Conan. It's a reliable, well-fruiting variety, perfect for making things like sorbets, summer fruit puddings, and of course cordial. So one thing about pots, I'll give you a quick tip with terracotta, is always save your compost bags. I use these compost bags just to line the pot before I backfill with lots of compost. And that makes sure that the water stays in the pot, which is better for the environment, better for the plant, and means less watering for you. The way I plant up my containers is I'll always put some old crocks over the drainage hole at the bottom, a very shallow sort of inch of gravel, and then your bag. Another quick sort of 2 inches of gravel before you backfill the whole lot with compost, just tucking in the edges of your compost bag so you can't see them. I plant the plant inside the compost, and then just to give a final little bit of polish, add a layer of gravel, leaving a little gap so that water can just percolate into the soil without spilling over the edge. If you look carefully, this gravel, which keeps water in, the weeds out, and just adds a little bit of extra polish. You can see some little strawberry leaves, and this one is Cambridge favourite, a really good cropper. And this in the pot, it will just kind of spill out and the fruit will be kept out of the way of slugs. Now I'm so excited to finally have a blueberry on my garden. Oh my goodness me, this is blueberry Herbert. It produces really big, tasty fruit. It's very prolific. I'll put on lots and lots of foliage. And come the autumn, that foliage will colour up into gorgeous shades of red and orange. Super excited. Now it's all potted up in exactly the same way as Ben Conan, the blackcurrant. But the one difference is that a blueberry is acid loving, so it will need ericaceous compost. So that's gone in the same way, lined with an old compost bag, planted up, and then again top dressed with a layer of grit just to give a bit of finish. So I've got soft fruit, I've got herb plugs, I've got vegetable plugs, and I've got vegetable seed, and I think I'm set to get going with my spring food garden. How exciting. Enjoy your planning.